We have also noted instances where supporters mobilizing for protest action has now extended into stores where our shoppers are going about their daily lives. We view such acts as not only provocative but also as a deliberate attempt to instill fear and to bully business and shoppers into participating in the protest against their will. We caution those behind these acts to refrain from instilling fear and from bullying our community members and businesses. That said, the NAT Joint at this point wishes to reaffirm our parallel responsibility to also protect protesters. Therefore, we are still encouraging our organizers of the protest to rather work with the security cluster through the metros and municipal police at the local level so that the law enforcement agencies can protect the protesters as well. We are working closely with a multitude of key stakeholders in a fight against crime, including the private security industry that serves as our force multiplier and our eyes and ears on the ground. We call upon our communities to work with us by distancing themselves from any acts of lawlessness in the best interest of our country. We call on all people in the South Africa to uphold the law and to say no to any action aimed at breaking the country's laws. We take this opportunity to recognize and appreciate our community patrollers who are also servicing as our force multipliers. Our key stakeholders, the community policing forum structures across the provinces, who are also at the forefront of advocating for law and order. On Monday, most school children will be at home. The NAT Joint encourages the youth of this country not to involve themselves in any form of criminality which could lead them to obtaining a criminal record, thus jeopardizing their own ability to secure employment in future. We are encouraging our communities to report any wrongdoing and any suspicious activities to the nearest police station or by calling the Crime Stop number 08600 10111. Those with access to the smartphone and or Android phones are encouraged to give tip-offs anonymously on the MySubs app. There is a dedicated team monitoring this for agent investigations. So if you see something, say something timeously to ensure that we collectively take a stand against any wrongdoing. Lastly, the NAT Joint assures members of the public that enforcement of the law will be executed within the relevant prescripts to ensure stability in the country. This is our update to the country at large that there will be no shutdown. We know of a planned protest. To say there will be a national shutdown, it's rather misleading. Everything from business to services will be fully functional and operational and accessible. We are not going to allow lawlessness and acts of criminality. Those who are found to be at the wrong side of the law will be dealt with accordingly. The work of the NAT Joint is cut out for us, and as such, we are already on the ground and we are ready to respond to the call of duty. Members of the media, it all system goes. I thank you.
Thank you very much, General Mosikili, chairperson of the NAT Joint. Ladies and gentlemen from the media, I will now open for questions that you can pose to the chairperson And we will appreciate it if the questions are based on our statement today. You will be aware that yesterday we had a briefing by the JCPS ministers. So this is in fact a follow-up to that briefing, as the nut joints is the operational structure of the JCPS. Can we start with the questions? And we know the drill. You will introduce yourself and the media house that you come from, and then pose your question. I've noted Ofense. I've noted a second hand here. Okay, for now it's only two hands. Ofense, over to you.
Thank you very much. Ofense, SABC News. My question is just to find out on the status of this protest, as we understand that there are arguments that it's unprotected and it's not been released. They haven't made relevant applications for gathering and protesting. What is your stance regarding this particular shutdown that's going to happen, since there are people in court who are saying not proper processes have not been followed in terms of applying for public gathering? Thank you.
Thank you very much. There was a second hand.
Good evening. I'm Alpha Moshwana here from Eyewitness News. I just need a little bit more clarity as to what kinds of places will be targeted by the law enforcement. Will you be targeting malls? Which highways do you think could possibly be hotspots? I think I heard on 702 this morning. It was said that you've received intelligence information that will show you which are the hotspots. So are you able to brief us on what exactly are these hotspots? Have they been identified, and what will be done on Monday?
Okay, thank you, Alf. Is there another hand? Yes, sir.
Good evening. It's Nico from News in Africa. Two questions from my side for now. The first question is about the capacity of the Community Policing Forum, which forum members who have been brought on board to assist in this, but also there are some organizations and some individuals who might not be participating in the protest, and would eventually find themselves interacting or engaging with members of society who are participating. So in terms of the plans of the SAPS, how are you going to manage those battles between community members themselves? But also, do you have the capacity to manage the possible feud between protesters and taxi drivers themselves? So those are the two questions from my side. And also, SAFTU is saying there will be a peaceful but militant protest on Monday. What have you picked up in terms of your intelligence, in terms of the dangers and the possible risks? How are you looking at that?
Okay, so we've got 3 sets of questions with a number of questions from Zenigo. General, I don't know, should we give you a chance to answer or take questions from WhatsApp? Okay. We'll take questions from Vanessa on the WhatsApp line.
From Atlanta.
From Atlanta.
Yes.
Okay, Atlanta.
Thank you, General Peters. We've got 4 questions from Heidi Giacos from ENC. The first question, do we know what the shutdown will look like? Where are the hotspot areas? Second, are we aware of which provinces or areas will be mostly affected? The third question, is there any legal protest or has it been approved? Normally marches, protests are approved beforehand. Has this happened? And the fourth question, there's concern that highways will be blocked. Have you been informed about this? That's all from the WhatsApp, which is needed. Thank you.
Thank you, General. I think the WhatsApp questions are more or less similar to those that have been posed. So I'll give over to General Mosikili to come and respond. Okay. We'll take another set of questions after the responses.
Thank you very much, members of the media. Atlanta, I think as General Peters has alluded, the WhatsApp questions are most similar to the one that came earlier. Maybe starting with the affected areas in terms of the provinces, I might say, for us, every corner of South Africa is the hotspot and all the provinces are targeted. We have mobilized everywhere and all the provinces are hard at work as we speak. In respect of whether the strike has been approved or not, I think it has been reiterated by the organizers that they are going to protest, and there is no need for them to apply for protest. I did iterate it earlier on the sections of the Constitution that allows that to happen. However, with the responsibility of the organizers in terms of the laws. Gatherings Act clearly articulates what needs to happen when an individual in this country is protesting. The capacity of the CPF, we do have CPF in all 9 provinces that will be participating. In terms of the numbers, we will not be in the position to say these are the numbers that we are having. That is more tactical and operational, and we will fluctuate the numbers based on the need of a particular operation or the participating province. In respect of the taxi operators, if they will be managed, I think they came out very loud and very clear that they are not going to participate in the protest on the 20th. The intelligence is an ongoing business. As indicated earlier, when I was giving the 5 pillars of the nut joint approach, on a daily basis or on any operation that we undertake as the nut joints, we do not leave out. Actually, the first pillar that we focus on is to gather intelligence. So we do get the intelligence brief that then advise how the operations should be shaped and which areas to focus on. So we continuously receive intelligence brief by the intelligence communities. Did I leave any question? The SAFTU, as indicated in terms of Gatherings Act, that if you protest, you must ensure that the protest is peaceful. I think that is what is expected. There are laws in this country that indicates when and how you should behave peacefully. And I'm not sure what will be the meaning of the word militant, but the response will be, as the National Commissioner addressed the State of Readiness Parade this morning, did brief the operatives that we need to remain within the confines of the law and to discharge our duties in a very minimal, not heavy-handedly. However, if you look into the pillars of the nut joints operational approach, we do invoke or deploy the forces necessary for each situation. We start with gathering of intelligence so that we can inform the level of our response, including the number of forces that we must deploy. We then proactively prevent and protect, as I've indicated earlier, that we even protect the protesters. That is why it is important to apply so that you get a necessary protection. However, because the laws of this country says there is no need, however, then we'll protect even the protesters. Then we move into the third leg or the third phase of our deployment, which is the combating, where we deploy the next level of combat that will include public order policing, and that the situation will dictate, will then detect by investigating, and continuously we will come back to the media in different platforms and communicate and give our society an update. This morning at 10 o'clock we had the KZN team was briefing the KZN communities on their state of readiness. That is what, as the Najoins, we are made of. Thank you. All the routes for us, it's a priority. So any highway that will come as a threat will have to respond accordingly. So there is no specific highway that we can say you must drive on this highway, but the reassurance that we are giving our communities is that everybody will be protected and will be saved for any anarchy that might prevail. Thank you.
Thank you, General. We'll go for round 2 of questions. Are there any questions from the floor? Zinigo? Any other hands? Brigadier Mate, I've noted you. Ofense? I think that will then be the end after Ofense. Zinigo, you can proceed.
I don't think the Commissioner understood my question when it comes to the community policing forum. I was asking in the sense of them having the capacity to deal with altercations with community members. Should there be any, should they face any protest? Should they manhandle themselves as the people who are watching over? So do they have that capacity? My new question is, from the social media intelligence system, have you picked up any possible people? Have you arrested anyone? Have you seen anything that is what being prosecuted? And also, we saw in the last unrest in this country that there was many people who were arrested by SAPS and other members of the Metro. Does the criminal justice system have the capacity now to accommodate those people who might be arrested on the actual day, and from keeping them in the cells and taking to the entire justice in terms of prosecution? So those are the two things that we are currently on. The social media, has anything been picked up? Has anyone been, what have you discovered so far? Have you arrested anyone, but also the capacity to now deal with the people who might be possibly arrested?
Okay, thank you, Zinigo. Can I give Ofense first before the WhatsApp questions? Ofense?
Thank you very much. I might have missed the response to my question about the status of this particular gathering, whether it has been permitted, they've made applications, and it's protected. Maybe I might have missed that. And a follow-up question would be, during the July uprisings, you fell under a lot of criticisms for slow response and uncoordinated response to what was actually transpiring. Hence, it took about, I think, 3 days or so. What will be done differently this time to ensure that, you have it under control? Thanks.
Thank you. We now go to our questions on the WhatsApp line. Brigadier?
Thank you, General. From Suman Naidu, a freelance journalist for Youth SA, we've got 2 questions. First question, we have seen some calls by some individuals to encourage the general public to stock up on essential food supplies this weekend, which could lead to panic buying in the event that there is a sort of violence that could impact food suppliers and retailers. Does Natrans consider it necessary for citizens to stock up on food to be prepared for the worst? Second question, what role has Natrans encouraged CPF to play on Monday? What actions could they take to protect their communities? And then as well, General, we also have questions from Khaukhelo Makgolejo from UFM. First question, protests take place daily in South Africa, many of them called shutdown. Why is the SAPS giving this one particular attention? Question number 2, was it necessary to gather officers to be addressed by the minister? I'm asking this because fighting crime is a police function that should not require a mass meeting. Third question, the minister has already spoken of helicopters that will be flying to monitor the EFF. Surely this comes at a cost. Kindly confirm if resources are being diverted from other functions for this particular exercise, and or if officers are being moved from their usual workstations for the purpose of this protest. The last question, does it not concern you as the police that you are moving into a political space when there's so much crime being committed in many parts of the country? That's all from us. Thank you, General.
Okay. One last chance. No further questions. General, if you are ready, you can come and respond. Thanks.
Thank you very much once more. Perhaps starting with the issue of the CPF. They are not expected to take action that is police related or policing related. However, as our partners, they are our eyes and ears of the communities to report any wrongdoing for the police to respond. They are working hand in glove with the police to report any incident and to alert the police on any wrongdoing or lawlessness so that we can be able to respond and action. Is there anybody or anything that anybody who has been arrested, and the question whether the criminal justice have the capacity? The structure is called nut joints because it's not the police structure. As it was indicated earlier, I am the chairperson and I am a co-chair with other departments. At nut joints, we sit with all the departments relevant. The criminal justice cluster, it's part of the nut joints as the security cluster. To be specific on the question of capacity, yes, criminal justice has got the capacity. Anybody being arrested, we do have few inquiries that we are working on that is under investigation by both the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation and the police. The status in respect of whether the strike is protected, according to the law, as I've outlined earlier, there is no need for protest or protesters to apply to protest. It is the constitutional right according to the law. I went further to indicate that the legal instruments as well expect from the protesters to do so within the ambit of the law and to ensure that the protest is peaceful. The protests happen daily. Why attention to this one? We give attention to any act that threatens the security of the country. You will recall that not long ago, we had a 3-month-long Operation Festive Season, that with what we know, it's normally happening during that period, warranted us that we need to sit down, to plan, to gather, and to respond. With any protest that happens, we do sit down and plan, and we were just reassuring the communities based on the panic that they are going to be safe. It's our constitutional mandate as the security cluster. I reiterate security cluster because security cluster comprises of various other departments, not the police. So the police is not falling into the hands, but is discharging its constitutional mandate through the joint structure to respond and to safeguard the livelihoods of this country. Thank you. What will be different this time is that more focus and more planning and intensive planning. Not that we did not plan in 2021, but we have planned better because every situation, every incident, it's an education on how to move forward to the next one. So we have learned our lessons in 2021. We have ticked the box, and we have planned accordingly to respond to those elements of surprise that might arise. Thank you, Matapelo.
Thank you very much, General. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to thank you for honoring our invitation and for always supporting us when we call these media briefings, as we have a joint need to keep our communities updated and informed. We thank you, and should there be any further updates or developments, we will call upon you again. We rely on you to be our conduit to convey messages to our communities and our stakeholders. Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of this media briefing. Brigadier Mati is here. She is the spokesperson for the NAT joints. Any follow-up interviews or inquiries can be directed to her. And this is us signing off. Thank you very much once again. Thank you, Generals. Thank you, National Commissioner. Thank you.
I'm a king, yes, I'm a king, I'm a king.